Hello and welcome to The Good, The Bad and The Worst, a podcast where we watch movie trilogies and decide which film rides together and which film dies together. I'm your host Griner, and joining me today...
I'm Mike Lowry. This podcast is just a shiny dick with two chairs in it. I guess we're just the balls dragging along the way.
And I'm Luke Morgan, and good man, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you?
I knew someone was going to be Mike Lowry. All right, we're doing Bad Boys. Boys, how do you feel about Actually, before we go to Bad Boys, this is Michael Bay. He's a big time director. This is the first Michael Bay movies we've done. How do you guys feel about Michael Bay in general?
My bad boy Bay. He is my Bay. I love Michael Bay. I think he actually gets a lot of clout, probably deservedly so, because he spends 15 years of his life making the worst possible action movies around. That is Transformers 2, 3, 4, 5, and however many they go.
Yeah.
But I think if you ignore those from or if you look at the other films he's made, he's actually a pretty solid action director. Like, we'll get into it at some point, but these films kind of define action for the next, like mainstream action for the next 10 years in a lot of ways. This and Bourne are the two aesthetics that really become action in the 2000s, I reckon.
Yeah,
but like
right.
you've got these two films. You got The Island is really good. You got Ambulance. You got the original Transformers. Like when Michael Bay's on
Armageddon,
yeah, like he is.
Armageddon.
This is the thing. Like he's kind of a staple, and you take him for granted because action's a weird genre. Like I don't know. It doesn't really get the respect it deserves.
It's easy to dismiss, and he definitely has a style. And I guess if that style doesn't click with you, you're just not going to like his films. But
Yep.
I don't know, like it's kind of fun picking out the hero shot where he slow pans around from an upward angle. Like you can see it in all his movies, and it works. But
sure.
if you don't like that, you don't like that, and you're probably never going to like it. But Luke, big Michael Bay fan.
Yeah. Speaking of, so yeah, I wrote down in my notes for these films probably 7 or 8 times, like, oh, this is so Michael Bay. Like this, it's just it'd be like something else would happen, and I'd be like, oh, it's such a Michael Bay film. Like you can just tell, written all over it.
Yeah.
I kind of like Conan. I know, like Michael Bay. I feel like he's like the Nickelback of directors, where he does have this bad name to him, and like people hate on him, but people kind of enjoy his work and kind of be like, you know what, he isn't too bad, really.
No, I want to go on record. I don't like Nickelback. No.
Hey, they have some bangers. Like they have some bangers. Hero, man, Spider-Man. Anyway, there's a lot of stuff of his I'm not a fan of, and I don't know if I'm a fan of the Michael Bay like style of film. I don't know if I am a fan of that. I remember really enjoying The Island. That's a dope film. I enjoyed Ambulance. Obviously, I don't think it's great, but I enjoyed it. I know what I'm there for. And Armageddon as well is a film I really like, and I had forgotten that was him as well. It's hard not to think of just Transformers when I hear Michael Bay.
It absolutely dominates his filmography for the last 20 years, I guess.
And I like even Transformers. I haven't watched the last 20 that came out. I don't know how many there is now, but like I enjoyed the first one. I remember enjoying the first one.
I really enjoyed the OG Transformers movie. Like it's a fun action movie.
It's a good film.
Yeah. And then I lost interest by the second one. I don't think I overwatched the third one or the fourth or fifth.
I think
the first one I don't hate. I don't know. I haven't watched it in a long time, so I'd be interested to see how I went when we do that trilogy. But it's they're Michael Bay films, and these are definitely Michael Bay films as well.
They are Michael Bay films. So, do you guys have any nostalgia for these films? These films were like, I don't know. I remember watching Bad Boys 1 and Bad Boys 2 quite a lot. Like, I don't know, they seem to be on TV a lot when I was younger, especially Bad Boys 1. And I think we would always watch it because they're reasonably wholesome movies. They're kind of family-friendly action for the most part. There's worse movies out there. There's the second movie definitely has some... I don't know. My parents wouldn't let me watch things that had nudity in them. That was the big no-no. So there's no nudity in the first film, so I think it's okay. Second film we'll get to it, I suppose, but has the same...
I see what you mean. You're right, there's some swearing, but besides that, they're just kind of there's no gore, there's no nudity,
No.
and the drugs are very much contained as like an evil MacGuffin. You don't
Yeah.
really have like you don't have Mike Lowry, puffing up and being like, "How
No.
good is this?" I have a lot of nostalgia for the second one. That's kind of the one that I saw a bunch, I think, with friends and my siblings. And I didn't see the first one till after, so the second one has a sentimental place in my heart, especially a few scenes. But they're kind of those films that I grew up and they existed. Like when you pick this, I was like, oh yeah, Bad Boys. They are kind of like defining action films, and I still think they are a bit. Like they were just part of the vernacular. It's like, yeah, the Bad Boys era. And yeah, I mean, I was kept thinking when I was watching this Hot Fuzz, how
Same.
yeah,
Yep.
so you ain't seen Bad Boys too. I'm like, that's it. Everyone and their mum saw Bad Boys. Like it
Yeah.
was. I think there was a reason why Will Smith became like the biggest movie star in the world, right? It's because of these.
Yeah. It surprised me actually. Like Hot Fuzz obviously takes like it parodies and influence. It has a lot of influence from a lot of action movies, but it surprised me how much of that influence was from Bad Boys specifically. Like there's a lot of scenes that you just pick them straight out. Yeah.
For sure.
Luke, you got any nostalgia for these movies?
So I guess I'm not everyone and their mum because I'd never watched these films before.
Yeah.
Really?
So this past week or past fortnight was my first time watching these films. I feel like I'd seen scenes of these. I don't know if that's because I've watched a bunch of action movies from the last 15 years where, you
Yep.
can obviously see the influence watching these back. I don't know. I remember seeing if either as like a viral video or, just passing by the scene with Reggie and them at the door,
The
like messing
funniest
with
scene.
Reggie, which
Oh,
is great. Um,
gets me.
and then there's a scene in the third one that I cheered for in regards to Reggie. But I yeah, I like so I don't have that nostalgia thing because I've never watched them before. Um, so I might have a different opinion than you guys.
Fair enough. This is my first time seeing 3. Conan, is that the same for you, or did you see it before?
I saw 3 in gold class when it came out.
Oh
Wow.
wow,
I,
you're a
You're
bad boy.
I'm,
the
I,
true
I
Bad
am
Boys fan.
I am a bad boy, and I
Bad
went
boy for
there. And
life.
I didn't even pay because I said I'm not going to pay, and the girl behind the counter was like, "Oh, that's bad. Wow." They just let me in. So that's it.
What a bad boy.
Exactly.
All right, let's kick it off with some stats.
Stats.
All right, Bad Boys 1. Where's the budget? There we are. Budget of only $23 million. Can you imagine Will Smith being in a movie for $23 million? Anyway, we'll get to it. Budget of $23 million made $141 million on return. $130 million for the second film as the budget, made $273 million. $90 million budget for the third film and made $426 million.
Ooh.
Yeah, it made big money.
Yeah, it did. It's that surprises me a lot. I heard about it a bit when it came out, but I don't remember hearing a lot of buzz about it. Like
It came out the height of COVID, it feels like
Yeah.
2020.
It came out at the start of COVID.
I did it.
But there was a lot of
Okay.
people, like myself included, like, I'm just not going to go to the cinema now for a bit.
Yeah.
The critical reception. Bad Boys 1, 41 on Metacritic. Bad Boys 2, 38. Bad Boys for Life, 59.
Those are criminally low ratings.
They're
30
very, very low.
38 is stupid. Come on, guys.
I'm just going to say the Rotten Tomatoes scores because
Say the Rotten Tomatoes.
it's 43-23 for Bad Boys 2 and 77 for Bad Boys 3.
What the hell?
That's quite a climb. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if older reviews are swayed. Like, I don't know. People look down on action more back in the day than what they do now. I'm not really sure.
I think this is part of that thing you see where you don't realize what you got till it's sort of gone. And again with action, like action is often unfairly treated, and unless it reinvents the wheel, it's usually derided. Like I think a comparable thing is 80s action films, right? Like when things like Commando and Predator were coming out, everyone was like, "Oh, these films are dumb. They're just dumb macho action. Why would anyone like these?"
Yeah.
And it's not until about 20 odd years later that you start to have like the dust settles and you see what the landscape looked like. Back then you go, "Oh wow, that's what they were doing. That's what we had. I've got some context around this." And you start to realize, wait, some of these were actually really good. And you realize, oh, that one's actually really clever. That one actually did more for the genre that we now have than we realized at the time. And I think that was the same with this. These movies come out, they're kind of offensive in terms of, even though they're, like we said, they're a bit safe, they're also like a lot of just back and forth and swearing at each other.
They star two black actors. Like that's not always, not done often. Probably back in 1995.
Yeah, I think this was one of the first ones to really embrace that and lead into it. So yeah, that sort of put people on the back foot a bit. And so I don't think most audiences were prepared for like, fast talking black comedians in this action flick, in this ultra saturated, ultra orange, ultra stylized setting, right?
Yeah.
And so I think at the time people would have been a bit put off, but afterwards you get every single action director making films like Michael Bay. And you go, oh yeah, Bad Boys did this. Bad Boys did this. Holy crap.
My first note in capital letters is orange filter.
I was like, man, that's orange.
Yeah.
Was your thought, are they in Mexico? That feels like he's filming in Mexico.
Yeah. Well, wait, I'm watching Breaking Bad. They're in Mexico. What's going on?
All right, let's kick it off with the original Bad Boys 1995. Two hip detectives protect a witness to a murder while investigating a case of stolen heroin from the evidence storage room from their police precinct.
Simple. I can get behind it.
Yeah.
I don't have to overthink anything.
Yep.
It's what I want from my action trilogies.
You're right. I love the way this movie kicks off, like Martin Lawrence bitching about the car, calling it a shiny metal dick and where the balls. Like it's really good.
It is a limited edition. Doesn't even have a cup holder.
I don't know if you guys saw, but that scene was added like post-production.
Yeah, I did hear that. Yeah,
they'd already made the film. They wanted a different tone setting. And it's the perfect choice. Like it introduces you to who they are. They're streetwise, but they've got this great dynamic of like, just they're fun to talk to. But then when they get accosted by people,
yeah,
kick ass.
Yeah, and like their dynamic is like they get in a fight, and so people get distracted, and then they can get the jump. It's like, this is your thing, yeah.
Yeah, and it's such a good thing. Like every time they do it, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. Do you reckon this movie would have worked with anybody else besides those two? Because their chemistry is so natural in this, right? Like, and a lot of the script was improvised by them.
Yeah.
Do you reckon this movie would have worked in a different way? Like if you had, I don't even know who, but who?
Chris Tucker.
Yeah, like that's a different film right there.
Rush Hour. That's all I can think of when I think of these.
Yeah. They definitely have the chemistry, but there's a language barrier there that's not here, I guess, that works in their favor here. But people were throwing around Eddie Murphy. I heard a bit of talk about him being able to play the wisecracking guy.
Yeah,
but I don't know. It's interesting. Eddie Murphy and Wesley Snipes.
Yeah, big 90s action actors. Yeah, like it's a what if. I'll always wonder what would have happened. Like, does this movie just fall apart with anyone else? Because these guys seem perfect for it, and it's just like, in the same way Eddie Murphy kind of became a huge like with Beverly Hills Cop, and he became like a big name, and everyone knew him, and everyone knew his sensibilities. I feel like this film introduces us to Will Smith as like the cooler than cool sort of guy who's funny but just so charming. And they can do it all. Like he can do action, he can do suave, he can do funny. And then Martin Lawrence is just the perfect like foil for all of that. It's so good.
Yeah. Okay. Obviously, I don't have nostalgia for these films.
Here we go.
No, I don't want to like harp on parades or anything like that or hate on it.
But
obviously you guys have seen it a few times, the first one, or yeah. I don't know. I personally, I don't find it memorable. Like,
who are you?
I'm talking about just with mostly in regards to the first one here. Like, I just like even going through my notes. Yeah. I'm just like, I remember a few things like, man, her getting shot through the pillow. That's a very dramatic death scene. But like,
it's great, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great. But I don't know the actual plot. I feel like, and just the way of it, I don't find memorable at all. I don't know if it's because like I watched the three of them this week, and so I remember it as one whole amalgamation sort of thing. I think the third one sort of separates itself due to the timeline and everything like that. And I feel like I remember a lot more from two than what I do from one, even though I watched both of them in the past week.
I think one and two do blend together a little bit. And the plot, as Conan said, is very simple. Like, there's not a whole lot of nuance to these guys stealing the cocaine. Like, I can't even remember what they're doing, what the special thing they're doing with it. Like, they're not putting it in coffins. That's the second one. I know that, but like, it's not. I don't know.
I remember that scene.
I think they're I think they're trying to sell it.
Yeah,
and it's just the whole story.
That's right. They're cutting it with that. They don't have enough time to cut it, and that's too moist. And the thing I remember about this movie is them trading places. So Marcus saying Mike Lowry over and over again, and then like stumbling around Mike's apartment, and her asking who's all these pictures of this guy? Like, you must really love your partner. It's so good.
Oh, I love it.
I had that as one of my notes. That's something I do, like him. I love when he goes, "Why am I tripping on shit I know is there?" Like, he's like, what's going on?
I keep moving light switches around. I can't decide where I want them. Like, it's just so stupid.
It's like the part where he calls up and they're in bed together, and he can hear her on the phone. She's like, "Oh, don't take it out. No, come on, don't take it back in." And he's just like burning up inside. It's so good. It's so stupid, but so funny.
Yeah.
Well, later on when Will Smith's on the phone to his wife, and he's like, "So what you wearing?" just to mess with him. It's so good. I love how defensive he gets about his family. It's so good. But yeah, I really appreciate Marcus. I think he's a great character.
No, I agree. Like,
he's as you say, he's a really good foil to Will Smith's like coolness and suaveness and like ladies' manness, I guess.
And they just have they offset each other so well because he's like Marcus is the heart to it. And so he's got a little bit of cool, but he's mostly heart. And then Mike is almost all cool, but a little bit of heart. And so they each need each other to like they are like the ultimate friends where they really do need each other because they complete that union.
Yeah.
And they're like a married couple with their arguing and stuff. But every time shit gets real, they're always there to pull it back in. I think that's like, it depends what you want from an action film. If you want a plot, this is definitely not the movie to go with. But I think if you meet it on its terms, you don't come into this being like, I wonder what's going to happen with a film about bad boys. You're literally here to watch two actors just banter off each other, right? And do sick stunts. And
but like, I don't know. I feel like, something like Die Hard, like you remember that movie and you remember all these moments and these scenes, and like, I feel like it's iconic. Like, I know Bad Boys as a film is like iconic, but I don't know if the movie itself has like iconic moments. The first one, again, just talking about the first one.
Will Smith running shirt, like
I was just about to say the same thing. That's not memorable.
Okay. Touching on the chase scene, I feel like in this one, with that chase scene where they're all running and he's chasing after a car or something, and I'm pretty sure, Will Smith's shirtless during it.
Yep.
It got into that Transformers territory where I wrote down, I was like, chasing, I have no idea what's happening. I have no idea what position, like, where's he running from? Where's this guy at? Where in his part of the race? Like, where's he now? Okay, he's there. It just felt like the camera cutting dramatically and like running. Yeah. And I was like, what is going on? I don't even know. Is he behind him or is he in front of him? I was like, I don't know what's going on.
I don't know if this movie is like a big reason why it kicked off, but this, like, especially the first one's like firmly in the shaky cam territory for action. Like, there's a lot of quick cuts, a lot of shaky cam during action scenes, and it does make it hard to follow. Like, I will agree with you there. The action isn't my favorite part of this movie, I guess. Like, there's definitely the iconic moments. As I said, the hero pan around him with his shirt half open. It's so good. And like the final scene where they're racing in the cars and Marcus is driving. Like, I don't know. I really enjoy all that, but yeah, there's definitely some action there that gets very confusing. Get a bit lost in it.
You can tell this is his first film. Like, it feels super rough. There's a lot of.
Is this Michael Bay's first film?
This is his first film. So he was a big music video
director.
That's
pretty impressive. I can tell that. Like, I can tell that.
So he's kind of. I keep comparing him to David Fincher because they both started off in music videos, but they're nothing alike. But he did a lot of music videos before this, so he's got experience, which is generally good for a director. Like, a lot of directors who start there end up going on to have pretty good careers. So this is his first movie. It feels really rough, but you can tell he still has a vision, I think, the whole time. Like, he wants to make Miami this orange paradise that feels really cool. it's like it's super like operatic and over the top and just complete nonsense. Like the whole story with the witness, the fact that she never ever questions, like, or never thinks anything's up. She just stays in
It,
this apartment for like a week, and she just
yeah,
there's so much nonsense going on. It's like it's plot holes out the wazoo, but that doesn't matter. It's like no, this is just this weird singular idea about these two best friend cops, and the action kind of like it is nonsensical, but he has this great way of kind of like it's like he's awesome. His action is awesome, and I mean that literally. That it inspires awe. Because there are moments like Will Smith running, and you're just like, I am so invested in this for no other reason besides it's cool. And I think he doesn't worry about spatial awareness. He doesn't worry about clarity. He worries about just making you feel the action. And I reckon he does a Michael Bay is one of the best for that. You feel like you're sort of in there with it, with the shaky cam stuff as well. Like it's
yeah.
crazy, and that creates a really cool experience.
There's a lot of like action scenes with explosions with bodies flying. I'll give him that. Just the amount of like I don't think that's a thing anymore. I don't know if I felt like weird to just see bodies like fly out of an explosion and smack into a wall or something like that. But this definitely does it a lot, and I don't mind it. I don't mind bodies just flying everywhere.
I feel like it's mainly this one he does that, and he doesn't do it as much in the second.
Hmm.
There's a few bodies flying in the second one.
There's a lot of people like everyone in all these films are really good at avoiding explosions. Like every time there's an explosion, you'll see people like leap out of the way or roll out of the way at the last minute.
He shows a lot of those sort of reaction shots of avoiding,
Yeah,
that sort of stuff. It's a bit his style.
I find it's kind of fun.
Tia Leone, how do you guys feel about her character in this movie?
Awful,
Yeah.
awful.
she just whinges way too much. She's not even that useful to them in the investigation.
This is the witness.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, like so the story behind the script, right, is that it was apparently a really different movie. They all hated it, and so they rewrote it when it was getting made. And I think like that really shows with her, especially where there is no plot to this film. Like it's literally just we have a loose structure. We need a witness because that's the way we can have this funny dynamic where Marcus is pretending to be Mike.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where they stopped, and they do a real disservice to her. Her character's bad,
Yeah.
and
she's like a good actress. She's gone on to do some pretty good stuff, but
yeah, she's had a solid career. But yeah, no, it's kind of a waste. But at the same time, I also don't want it to be like a trifecta. I don't want it to be the two of them plus her. I want it to just be Marcus and Mike and their sort of thing. So I don't know, like how much time do you spend with her fleshing out this witness, right?
yeah. I mean, she does her job in the apartment, like pointing out, like, who are these photos of? Why are you tripping over your own stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. She does fine with that.
Yeah.
She's
I
a
don't know why.
masseuse. She massages shit.
I don't know why I found it so funny. Like this woman that works for the police department that helps these criminals. She's just like they got embarrassing pictures of me and they were going to put it up on the bulletin board of my son's school. Just like we just go take them off. This is before the digital age.
Yeah, it was a precursor.
It's a bit ahead of its time, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, like all of that's real nonsense. But how do you guys like Joey Pants? It's name Pantalano?
Joey Pants.
Joey Pants.
He's good. I really like him in these movies. Like he makes a really good flustered police cop. Like I like the evolution of them, becoming Buddhists or whatever, and woosah. Like,
woosah.
Good.
That thing, yeah.
He's perfect as the police chief, dude. I think so. Yeah.
He's just got like that angry little man energy
with his hair plugs.
He's great. Yep.
All right.
I have nothing else.
Yeah, no, I have lots of little quotes, like just random lines, like Marcus rinsing the salt off his pickle because she's having to go at him about eating meat, and I don't want no brain fragments on me. Like I always liked when Marcus is around dead bodies and he's just not coping.
Yeah, actually, that's one of the best games. He's just always vomiting.
Yeah.
Man, what is with you every time?
All right.
Or like the rats in the sequel, he can't see the parents.
Yeah. Bad Boys 2. Two loose two loose cannon narcotics cops investigate the flow of ecstasy into Florida from a Cuban drug cartel.
Again, great plot. Simple.
Again.
We know that flowing drugs into cities are bad, and so we are invested.
This one definitely has, like, the plot has a bit more meat to it. I feel like it. I don't know, the whole plot of them, you know, running the morgue and having replacing the body parts with drugs, like, that's all good stuff.
I forgot how sort of gory and dark something like this one went.
Yeah,
there's like they're cutting dead bodies open.
Oh, the bodies rolling out on the chase is messed up, and they just run over the bodies. It's so brutal.
And then like Peter Stormare's Russian like bodyguard gets delivered to him in a barrel. Like, oh wow, I forgot they went so hard.
That's really messed up, that scene, actually.
Yep.
Yeah.
Peter Stormare totally underused in this movie, I think.
I love Peter Stormare.
I love Peter
He's
Stormare.
Good. And I like start watching 2 and he popped up. I was like, oh, awesome. He's like the main villain. This is good. But then he shows up at the end and gets shot again straight away. I'm like,
he should have been the main villain. The main villain in this is really weak. Like it's meant to be. He's meant to just be a super over the top, like nonsense character. But every time I watch it, I'm always like, I wish Stormare was that. I wish he was.
Stormare would have added something to that character, I feel like, but
I think.
But then they can't go to Cuba at the end. Like, that doesn't really work with a Russian guy. Like, there's a whole there's a whole race thing there. It's already bad enough that they're conducting an operation in a foreign country. Like,
that's an international crisis. Holy crap! Yep. This film is 2.5 hours long.
Like, it's too long.
It's too long. I wrote, like, it's one long chase scene too long. Like, there's just one too many chases in it, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like, in a way, that's a really good sequel because it kind of expands on everything the first one had, right? Like, it's got more jokes, it's got more action, it's got more violence, there's more set pieces, the stakes feel a bit more ridiculous, but like, I kind of love it for that as well. It is too long, but it's like Bay doubles down on everything. He's like,
he does.
Anything like that the first one, here it is more. And so, because like you get scenes like the Reggie scene, which is probably the best scene in the film. I was like, you don't need that. You don't need that.
And that goes for like 6 minutes. I feel
it's so long, but I remember years ago, my wife made us rent this movie because she wanted to watch that one scene.
I don't know about you guys. I wrote down, like, my first note for this one was like the intro to this film, just like the music with the Bad Boys 2 logo popping up and everything like that. It felt like such a, like, if a movie now had like a parody film on the TV of like an action movie intro, it was this. Like, I feel like this is like the most cliche. I don't, like, not in a bad way, just like it's so Michael Bay, early 2000s action intro with the Bad Boys 2 logo. It's like what I picture, in Spider-Man when they create like their tribute videos. It's like, it's the same sort of like logo font and stuff like that. But obviously you start with the Klansman
crashing the KKK rally. I really enjoy that scene. Like, they're yelling out white power, like, blue power, motherfuckers.
Yeah,
you get shot in the ass.
Yeah, I smell my ass burning. It's good.
I like the slow mo bullet shot through the jars. Pretty cool.
Yeah, so you got Mike Lowry diving. Yeah, that scene is super iconic, I think. You got like a young Michael Shannon in here, I forgot.
I know, how cool is that? He comes back later and gets locked in the trunk for like half an hour while they dodge all these dead bodies flying in the street.
There's a lot of police brutality, like a lot of police abuse here. A lot of crimes being committed by the police.
They're bad boys. What you gonna do?
They're bad boys. That's true. What are you gonna do with the police do? Corrupt, illegal things.
That's
I think this movie.
Matter.
If this movie comes out today, it's a very different reception, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I wonder if we're approaching the end of the glorification of police in these kind of movies. Like
when do we get another buddy cop action?
But Bad Boys for Life came out in 2020. Like, that's not that long ago. A lot has happened in those 2 years, but
but also the third one doesn't have nearly as much like disregard for this. Yeah, I think there's a lot. It's a lot more like it's a lot more ground is not the right word, but it's more
Personal.
aware. Yeah, and it's more aware of that fact.
Yeah.
Like it tries pretty hard to not have them doing just brazen crimes in broad daylight, like going to another country to kill people.
Yeah.
Um, which
You, you you talk about like how long this film is and what you can cut from it. I feel like there's about 10 minutes of the camera panning around them rooms during the shootout with the guy with the blonde dreadlocks.
No, that's so good though.
No, but that camera pans around
Yeah, and it's
so
really
many
well done. No,
times.
I
I was
really
like,
enjoy that whole
oh,
scene.
nah. I was getting disorientated. I was like, oh god, it's too much.
No, I'd
Too
give me
much.
that over the shaky cam any day like that. I feel like that scene works.
No,
Yeah.
I agree.
And
I
you get
think-
you get Will Smith like talking smack to him on the other side of the wall. Like, yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. I mean, all of it. Like you get the freeway chase scene where they're on the Jamaicans are on the truck and they're letting all the cars come down and like that
Yeah.
scene. It's super long, but it is incredible. Like I was blown away watching that. And that's kind of what I remembered. I was like, shit, Michael Bay is like he's one of the best at what he does.
Hmm.
That sequence is really exciting. I think it's really well done. It's like it's a lot. He's grown a lot in the 8 years since the first film. And I was like, that's you don't. I don't know. You don't get action sets like that anymore.
And then
I miss it.
you have him with the dead girl.
It's another really good scene. Like, I don't know, his whole reaction in that scene where he's nearly throwing up because the dead bodies, and then having to hide under the sheet with the dead girl, and him just having got each other for looking at the titties. Like, it's really good. I don't know. I love it. It's hilarious. It's
Yeah,
not
it's
very.
fun.
I don't know if it's very politically correct, but it's fun.
Again, it's early 2000s. Like this was, yeah. And these films definitely have the whole macho problem, which nowadays wouldn't be. But I mean, I just think that argument where any film in the past is like that. Just values change, and at the time, that's just how.
Yeah, I don't like. That's the thing. Obviously, think times have changed. Not saying like it was okay then, but obviously things were, I guess, more socially acceptable or whatever. But like there is like a whole 5 minute scene in this movie where the joke is that they're gay, basically.
Yeah, where they're doing
that's
the
the whole
couch
punchline.
Which
Which is funny.
It's
Like it's funny.
It's hilarious.
It is
but
funny.
when it's like yeah.
A little on the nose.
He drinks the ecstasy.
And then he's pretending to be Buddha. He's like messing with Buddha. That's so funny.
It's so much fun.
And then there's the rats humping, like when they pretend to be the exterminators.
Yeah, that's the.
It's very silly. Like they're very obviously puppets that look kind of dumb, but they fuck just like us. It's so good.
Oh crap! Just Martin Lawrence is just how serious he is about it. Just being able to hold a straight face during it. Just
That's the thing. He makes a lot of the comedy in this. Like his facial reactions, his like delivery of his lines and stuff like that.
yeah.
No, definitely.
Like,
he's the funny man. Will Smith is the straight man, really.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
How do we feel about Will Smith? We need to talk about it at some point.
I was waiting for Conan to bring up the slap.
How do we talk about it? Because I feel like we should have known the slap was coming after watching these movies. all the groundwork
The
was
signs were there.
Yeah, it was a slow build. But like, generally, how do you guys feel about Will Smith? Are you big fans? Like, I don't know, did you follow his career with great awe and respect?
I've liked a lot of his movies.
Yeah,
like I don't know. He seems to do a lot of little sci-fi, not little, but a lot of sci-fi movies that I like. That they're not even good sci-fi movies, but like I Legend. Is it I Legend?
I Am Legend.
I Am Legend.
You're thinking of
iRobot.
Yeah.
Both of those movies I enjoyed, whether they're any good or not.
See, I liked iRobot, and I was a big fan of I Am Legend. I thought that movie was great.
Yeah.
Even though it's probably not great,
No.
but I really enjoyed it. I feel like I missed a lot of Will Smith, like because obviously I didn't watch Bad Boys. I didn't watch a lot of his other stuff. I never watched Fresh Prince of Bel-Air or was it Wild Wild West? I don't know. Those other movies.
Wild Wild West is a pretty bad movie.
I love that movie when I was a kid, though. Giant tech spiders and steampunk western, man. It's my jam.
Yeah. It's a cool idea. I don't think they follow through on it.
Nah, terrible film.
MIB, I think the first MIB is really good. 2 and 3, not as good, but
And those films were huge.
yeah, and he really carries those movies too. Like,
Yeah, true.
yeah, he's just such a star. And then, I mean, obviously, we can't not talk about him without talking about the slap at the Oscars this year.
Cancel Will Smith. Cancel him right now.
I don't know. Do you cancel him? It's an absolutely ridiculous response to a comedy act, obviously. And then, did you guys see his apology afterwards?
Like 5 months afterwards?
Yeah, a long time afterwards. And it just reeked of being like, you know, well, Chris isn't answering my calls and I need to put out some sort of statement. But like he's advertising his son's energy drink in the scene or whatever it is. Like there's just lots of, it's very on the nose, very produced.
Yeah, real. It's a real. I saw Chris Rock's response. He was just like not having a bar of it. And
Which fair enough. I mean,
oh yeah, no, I'm fully with him.
So I don't know. I think he just lays low for a while and then he gets a role that's really good and we love Will Smith again probably.
Conan's burned. Conan did not like the slap at all.
I didn't. The slap shook me.
Conan says the Oscars should be respected.
I felt that slap more than Chris Rock did, I think. It shook me to my bones.
Yeah.
No, it's because Will Smith is like one of the Mount Rushmore movie stars, right? Like I've never been I would never call myself a fan. I was never like, yeah, I love Will Smith, but I just think about him watching him in this, like, holy crap, the guy holds a camera like very few people can. Yeah. And he is so effortlessly charming and likable. It's no surprise to see why he became so big. But then it's also, I know the slap was I could spend hours, unpacking that. So we won't do that here, don't worry. But the slap was a bad moment. And it was just after that happened, I was like, yeah, this guy made a lot of bad films with his kid because he just really wants to promote his kid. And
yeah, he did some shit.
And it just made me look at him like, he's the best of the movie star culture, but he's also the worst of it. And that's probably a bigger indictment on Hollywood and the general our celebrity obsessed culture. But I don't know, I'm just definitely I was never in these movies like, oh, gross, Will Smith, I hate him now. But there was definitely part of me, I'm just like, oh, Will, you go on to do such bad things.
Yeah. What do you think his future is?
Slap up some people, you're like, oh, this is too real. I don't like it.
Exactly. I tell you, he starts shooting. She just shoots people indiscriminately. I'm like,
this is next year's Oscars.
That's next step, exactly.
If we don't control Will Smith,
he pulls a piece.
What'd you say, Grona?
What's his future? Is he he seems that a lot of his projects have been cancelled by the looks of things. Is he cancelled? Has he come back?
No, I think you're right in that he lays low for a couple of years. Like Hollywood does love a comeback. We love an underdog story, and whether or not
sorry to interrupt, but let's be honest. There's people in Hollywood who've done a lot worse shit
for sure
than slap somebody.
Exactly,
and they have come back from being cancelled or not being cancelled. That's yeah.
There was a lot of build up to it. There was weird build up to it too, though. There's all that stuff that came out about his relationship with his wife, and
he's had a few weird years.
Yeah, he's had some weird years and some bad movies. Obviously, what King Richard is, he won the Oscar for it. So obviously, there's a really good performance there. But yeah, as you say, Conan, the films he did with his son, atrocious.
What was it Planet Earth?
After Earth. And it had some weird Scientology messaging in there. It was very strange.
And what is it, Gemini Man? Where he plays
he plays against himself. Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't watched any of them films, but I didn't watch Pursuit of Happiness, but apparently
I don't mind that movie. Yeah,
I've heard it's good. That's the thing. He is a good actor when he wants to be, but he's got an ego where he refuses to make films without getting paid exorbitant amounts of money. The common story about him, he turned down the role of Django. He says it's because he didn't want a movie that glorified violence, but every other report says no, it's because he thought the movie wasn't enough about him, so he didn't want to take on the starring role.
Thank God.
I agree,
yeah,
but it's true. He didn't take it on because it's like, no, I want it. It's not enough about me. I'm like, he clearly has an ego, and it's yeah. That every celebrity does. That's fine. I think he comes back in a few years, and he. What I hope is that he focuses on his. He actually makes good films, like especially after King Richard, where he's finally got his Oscar. He can feel validated.
Yeah.
I hope he comes back and he starts doing some more like smaller stuff.
He
and just
might he
making-
might have no choice too, right? Like,
Yeah,
might be all he gets for a bit, but that could be good for him.
yeah. Get the help you need, Will.
Either that, or he gets an MCU role, like a bit like Robert Downey Jr. in his redemption, right? Like,
Yeah. that's maybe that's it. He becomes the next like face of the MCU in Phase 15.
Oh God. No.
I think Robert Downey saved it. Like he made that franchise what it is.
Yeah,
And
but it
part of
also saved Robert Downey Jr.
yeah.
Like, I don't know if Will Smith needs saving.
I think he does, but he doesn't realize he needs saving. I think he thinks he can save the world. He's like
You might be
Thanos.
right.
Will Smith is Thanos. He thinks he's doing the right thing for the world by slapping everybody. But he
Or
actually
slapping
needs
half of people
Slapping
perfectly
half.
balanced.
he actually needs to be saved himself.
I can be
Yeah.
part of offensive movies, but make a joke about my wife,
Yeah.
you get slapped. Perfectly
down.
balanced.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yep.
that's my thoughts on Will Smith.
All right, Bad Boys for Life. We ready to move on to it?
Yes.
Miami detectives Mike Lowry and Marcus Burnett must face off against a mother and son pair of drug lords who wreak vengeful havoc on their city.
So, I love this movie. I really enjoyed this movie. I wasn't expecting it. I didn't know it had a better, like obviously Rotten Tomatoes. It goes up 40% or 50% from 2 to
Ludicrous.
3. I was just expecting it to sort of get worse, especially like 2020 bringing these old fools out, for another one. I just thought it was going to be bad. I really, really enjoyed it. I thought I liked, obviously I feel like it's got more personal drama. Like it's a much more, they're reflecting on their age, this and that. Like there's consequences for actions. There's all this sort of stuff, and like they reflect on themselves. But I feel like the choreography is really good. Like I feel like all the scenes with them shooting, I really, really enjoy. It's like it's not as good as John Wick, but I feel like they've got influence from John Wick where they're choreographing how they're shooting and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know, the knife kills I thought were brutal with like the young guy, the son, like at the start when he takes out them people. Like
Yeah.
the prison scene with the mother, like how she escapes, that's brutal. It was like, oh,
Real
this is
Hannibal Lecter vibes.
this is nuts, I don't know. I really, really enjoyed this film.
Definitely surprised me. Like, I hadn't seen this movie before. I wasn't expecting much out of it. I didn't realize it wasn't Michael Bay till I started watching it. But
Oh, is it not?
no,
The guys
No.
who made Batgirl, which we'll
Oh.
never see. So they got Batgirl off the back of this film.
And yeah,
Wow.
like thematically, it's a lot stronger than the previous movies. Like, it's not as dumb of an action movie as the first two, for better or for worse. Like, I kind of enjoyed that, a bit of a reflection on, on these characters and looking at where they've come from, where they are. But yeah, and obviously the action is a lot more modern, right? Like, there's hardly any shaky cam, as you say, like
Yeah.
heavily, obviously inspired by John Wick in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it. Like, I don't have, like, I don't know, there's a nostalgia for the older films, obviously, but I think this is a solid entry into the trilogy.
Yeah.
Like what? Yeah. There you go.
I was just going to say, like, now that you say, I don't know how I couldn't tell it wasn't Michael Bay. Like, when I think of the film now, I'm like, yeah, it doesn't look or feel like
They
a
did
Michael
do
Bay
one
film.
hero shot. Like, they did try
Yeah.
to emulate him in places.
I think they do a good job trying to emulate it. There's like a chase scene in this that feels like it's trying to be Michael Bay.
But it feels a little different. Like,
Yeah, it feels off, but you can tell they're trying to honor it, which is admirable. When I saw this, I came out and I didn't rewatch the original two, so I saw this, having not seen either of the first two in years. And I came out being like, that was awesome. That was probably the best of all three.
yeah.
But then on a rewatch, I didn't have the same
Oh.
reaction. So I came out of it and I was like, it didn't. It my takeaway, this definitely has the most heart and definitely has stakes to it, like proper emotional investment.
Yep.
And that's probably a good way to end a trilogy, to be like, okay, why do we care about these guys? Why are we involved in, why are we coming back for a third film? Well, it's because there's an emotion here with these characters. But at the same time, it kind of sacrifices some of the DNA. Like it sacrifices the style and the Michael Bayness, which like Bad Boys is Michael Bay. And that's kind of the weird thing that, and like Grant said, for better or for worse, there are things about this movie that are better than the original two. But there are things. It just depends what you're coming at. If you come at Bad Boys and being like, I want an emotional story about two friends, this film will probably be the favorite. But if you come at it being like, I want Orange Miami and just fun,
Wet t-shirt parties and
yeah, and shirtless Will Smith running, like you're not going to get that in this film. You're going to get some nods to it, but you're not going to get the same sort of. I don't know, like these filmmakers they have too much sort of respect, I guess, for the content rather than respect for the style, which is a weird sort of. It's an interesting dilemma, I guess.
you don't get shirtless Will Smith. You get Will Smith getting his goatee dyed.
Yeah,
Like,
Midnight Cocoa Bean. Yeah.
Midnight Cocoa Bean. It's great.
it's really beautiful seeing Marcus
Yeah.
dyeing his goatee for him in
While he's
hospital.
in a coma sort of thing. It's great. Reggie back as the dad. I don't know why I really loved that. I was like, oh my God, he's back. Even though obviously I'd only just watched two. I've seen that scene, like I said, years and years ago. So I was like, oh my God, they got him back. That's great.
It's nice.
This film, because I don't have the nostalgia with the other ones, and obviously like I feel like yeah, I can see and appreciate them for what they are, but I don't have that nostalgia thing to it. So like this is the film that made me like the characters in a way. Like this is the film
Crazy.
that made me like, I don't know, really like the characters and feel like that. It made me like, yeah, Bad Boys for life, man. Like this bond, this is all, like it's not like I've had that built up, but this film it resonated for me a bit more. So
But that's only because you've spent two films with them before that, right? If
yeah,
this is your first rodeo and you go in there, it's like, why do I care about this dude getting shot? It's going to have nothing to it. But because you
yeah,
spent 4.5 hours with them,
yeah. But I was kind of sick of them by the end of the I wanted them to get shot. No.
Terrible.
No. Like, yeah, they are what they are. But this film, obviously, I'm not much of a Michael Bay guy. I'm more of the one of telling this bromance between these two cops of these old guys who have just, lived past their expiration date as bad boys. Now they're
I
good
mean,
men.
Will Smith is still in incredible shape in this film.
He
Like,
is.
Yeah, they didn't like. I thought they might play on it a little bit more because, like, Lawrence does not look anything like Smith. Like they could not be more different looking these days. Like, Martin Lawrence has got the big jowls going on. Like he's definitely,
Yeah,
he's definitely aged normally. Will Smith is definitely aged with some enhancements, I would say.
100%. I mean, do you guys like the whole? I mean, Grant, I know you'll love the fact that Vanessa Hudgens is in this film. That would have been a special moment for you.
Yeah, it was.
But do you guys like the whole second generation sort of, trying to bring them into the fold, or because that's a trope we're seeing now with a lot of things. We saw it with Scream when we did it. We saw it with we're talking about Halloween. Those films, it's happening with that. Like, it's kind of the thing that happens now with these reboots/sequel, where they always have a younger version of the characters, basically, and go, is the mantle going to get passed on? Like we had it in Top Gun.
Yeah.
So are you referring to Emo or like his son?
All of it. So you've got the
All of
son.
it, yeah.
You've got the son who's definitely like going to be Mike Lowry 2.0. But then you've also got these younger. You've got Vanessa Hudgens and like her sort of crew. The younger ones
You
who
got Bjorn from Vikings.
is that the blonde guy?
Yeah, that's a blonde guy.
So you've got Bjorn, yeah.
Yeah.
And so you've got those ones like they're younger. They're the ones who are tech savvy. And it's like, oh, these are the cops in the modern era. And do you guys like that sort of trope, or did you enjoy it in this?
It's weird how it's in every single one of these types of movies. Like, I don't know. I don't know why it keeps cropping up. I don't like it as a trope. I much prefer when they like. I liked at the start where they're like, oh, they're just getting older. Like they're okay with it. They're not trying to pretend they're still young. Well, I mean, Mike Lowry kind of is, but that's kind of the joke. But yeah, I didn't hate it here. I don't know. It feels weird. Like, I wasn't excited by him flying a drone around, or like none of that added much for me. And they always just came in to kind of save the day at the right time. Bit of a, bit convenient, I guess.
But the thing, like, yeah, it's like a trope that's I feel like a lot of movies, especially if it's a movie that's coming back after being away for a while, they deal with like, this is the new age and the new technology or whatever. But like, I don't think they overdid it here. I don't feel like it was constantly showing, these two bad boys, they're fish out of water. They're not up to date with today's world. I don't feel like they push that narrative hard, like too hard or anything like that.
But I don't know that it adds much, except for giving them a kind of a get out of jail free card when they need it, right?
The scene that bothered me the most, I think, is when they go and there's that like big redhead guy who's I know he's like a tweaker or something, and they go to
Yeah.
bust him, and he just like knocks Martin Lawrence out, and then he's like, "If you didn't have that gun, I'd eat you." And then Will Smith's about to fight him, and it's going to be like, "Oh, can he still go toe to toe with this guy?" And the guy pays last minute. And it's that scene kind of frustrates me because I'm like, they're really leaning into this whole, is Will Smith still unstoppable? And then
But
like,
then they don't do something with that, really.
yeah, exactly. And it's like, but there's the new generation to take over. So yes, Will Smith's unstoppable, but we actually never see him be unstoppable. So it's kind of having its cake and eating it. And I think I would rather, it's a nitpick, but I would rather see like, Will Smith and Martin Lawrence both just get pummeled and like learn that they're not that strong anymore and have to confront that directly, or have them just kick ass and be like, there are only the two bad boys. And
you don't understand, dude. You can't just beat up a tweaker. Now that's poor form for police. You can't just beat him up. The poor dude's suffering. You need to de-escalate the situation and tase him and cuff him and
Tasing
let him
so much
sober
better,
up.
yeah.
I mean, look,
good police.
I would have enjoyed a 20-minute scene of Will Smith being like schooled by Joey Pants, and they're being like, "You can't do that anymore, Mike. You can't just keep punching Kurt." And he's like, "It's a different world. What do I do?" And then he hands his badge over, and he goes, "I'm gonna, travel the seas as a sailor or something."
And then he gets given the badge later again, and he takes it up. Oh, classic.
It was also really weird having DJ Khaled in this film.
I know. Why is DJ Khaled in this movie? He's so bad.
He's so bad.
Why is he in it? I don't get it. Like, is he enough of a name that he would draw people to this movie? I don't think so.
Was he in 2020? I don't.
No, I mean,
so.
everybody knows who he is, but nobody cares about him, do they?
I feel like everyone sort of hates him. He's one of those celebrities that no one likes. But
yeah,
all I know is the meme. I don't.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't know why I liked Lawrence pushing the lump in on the dude's head.
Yeah,
it's calling
That's
me.
some Elephant Man shit. It's really good. The rubber bullet bruise, yeah.
The captain being shot, I thought was brutal.
Yeah, I audibly gasped when Joey Pants got shot. It was almost too much for me.
Because it's just like there's no. Obviously, he has the ask the horse speech before he gets shot, but there's like no final thing. Like he gets shot and he's dead. Like it's like, oh damn! Like this movie does do some serious stuff in it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And like I admire it for it. I admire that it takes those big swings. And it's kind of like it. I think there's a lot about this film I like. It does do that, and it kills off some characters that are pretty pivotal to it. It's like, okay, things are changing. I just wish they'd committed to it a bit more, I think. But
what?
Pretty good fake.
Bad boys die.
It was pretty good fake out at the start, right? Where they like make you think they're going to his funeral and it's actually the wedding.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I enjoyed the opening. Like I enjoyed them doing the foot race. Like that was fun. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know why Martin Lawrence thought he had it, and like Marcus thought he had a chance against Will Smith, but
neither.
But and then how did that guy get away with doing a drive-by in front of like 40 cops?
And that dude is a crack shot.
Yeah.
Holy crap. He comes past with an SMG, unloads all direct hits, and then just rides off. Like, jeez.
He keeps getting away. He keeps pulling off drive-offs.
Yeah, he does. He does a lot of sniping after that, which I guess you can understand, but
yeah,
a drive-by.
True. Yeah, no, he should have got.
I enjoyed the recurring, I'm going to penetrate this man's soul with my heart. Like, I don't know. The repeated use of the word penetrate was fun for me for some reason.
You like
That's
that?
as risque as they could get in 2020.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, no, it's good. It is a nice way to do it, but I think we're getting a fourth film. I think there is a Bad Boys 4 coming.
Yeah, so have they shot themselves in the foot without by not calling this Bad Boys number 4 Life? Like, why they should have given this one a different name and saved that for number 4?
Well, I don't know if anyone thought there was going to be a fourth one.
Maybe not, but it's on IMDb.
Is there with the slap?
Well,
yeah,
maybe that's his comeback.
I think this was
slapped Bad Boys 4 out of existence.
I mean, there's actually, I say that as an article, right? It says Bad Boys 4 still in development despite unfortunate Will Smith slap. So that answers that, I guess.
Has to be a reference
We'll
to
see.
it.
We'll see.
Yeah, they might just CGI Will Smith's face over a different actor.
Or he might actually die at the start too, like he was supposed to in number 3.
That'd be interesting.
And then someone makes a joke about Martin Lawrence's wife and he gets up and slaps.
So this is for you, Will.
Name out your mouth.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed this one. This was I liked it.
I'm glad you liked it.
Thanks, man.
So, Luke, your order is 3, 2, 1?
3, 2, 1.
Conan, how do you rank these movies?
It's hard. I don't know. I would probably go. I think 2 would be my favorite. So I think I'd go 2, and then I don't know. Like,
Oh man, remember that opening night? You showed up in your body armor, your body vest.
Cosplaying.
Watched it, gold class.
I walked in, I went DJ Khaled. I would probably go 2, 3, 1, and I feel bad saying 1 is the worst. But like Luke, what you're saying before, like when I think about it, all the things I remember about it, I'm like, no, that's the second one. That's the second one. That's the second one.
Yeah. Yep.
The first one is definitely is not nearly as it's more forgettable, despite having some of the best parts. I don't know. Grana, what would yours be?
Yeah, it's really hard. Like I really enjoy all of these movies. I would probably maybe just go 1, 2, 3. I don't know. Like I would probably even be okay with 2, 3, 1. Like I don't know. There's things about number 1 that are pretty nostalgic for me.
Yeah.
But number 2 is, as you say, it's very similar. It has some really great moments. And 3 is like a completely different movie, but it's still really good. I really enjoyed it.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know if I would ever want to rewatch any of these films standalone either. I feel like I would always want to rewatch the trilogy, which is kind of what rewatching 3. I don't think you'd get anything out of without being like, oh yeah, I've started from number 1. And even number 2, I feel like I would just need to do number 1 to watch their growth, because it's like that with buddy cop films. You get the most out of it when you spend the time with them, because that's what it's about, right?
Yeah.
I feel like 2 pushes its luck with that extra half an hour. I feel like the other 2 hit it at 2 hours, and then I'm like, with the second one, I definitely had a point where I was like, how is there an hour left of this film?
It's a key.
I feel like we're at the climax now.
How are they in Cuba? This is an international incident. Yeah, maybe it is 1, 3, 2. I don't know.
All right, so
depends on the day, depends on the mood, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, well, I think that just about does it for Bad Boys, unless anyone else has anything they want to add.
The cadavers in number 2 getting run over by the car was brutal. Like I couldn't believe it. Like, every time they ran over another body, I was like, "Oh my god, this is so messed up." So bad. But the chief having like a meltdown in the middle of the road, like just seeing bodies like getting lifted up. He's like, "I got to call these people who have to come down and do this." That was funny.
Woosah. Every time he's got to calm himself down again. Woosah.
Yeah, I've said that a lot in my life. It's either that or Serenity now. They're both the same.
Serenity
vibes, right?
Gets use every day in my life. So
So we didn't even talk about in number 2 about Martin Lawrence's sister, Will Smith's girlfriend. I can't remember her name.
I mean, she's the Tia Leone of number 2, isn't she? Like, she's such a non-character again. I'm glad they didn't bother shoehorning one into 3, right?
Yeah, you're right. She's got a lot more personality, at least.
Yeah,
Um,
I enjoyed like them trying to cover up their relationship too. Like that's fun, but
yeah,
she's not given much to work with.
no, no, you're right. It's just for that actress because she was in Bring It On, and she was like a big thing for those few years, and then she just didn't go anywhere for her after that. It always makes me laugh where I'm like, she really had no career post sort of this period of films.
Mm. Um, Last note, what's your guys' opinion on them singing the theme song?
I like it.
It's
I don't
fun.
like it, eh?
It's fun.
I
Like
feel
it's
like it goes
obviously
too much. Like I feel like it's like okay.
no.
I don't know.
I don't know. I think it's kind of a fun callback.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
Third one, they just got this poor baby crying for like 4 minutes while they're singing the song.
Yeah, I don't know if I like it in the third one. Actually, now you mention it,
Mm.
I like it in the second one where he doesn't know the lyrics,
Yeah, that after the pool explodes and they're out on the thing.
or even in like in the opening scene,
That's right,
where
it's in
he's
the opening scene and
yeah,
the
like
closing scene.
yeah. He's like, man, you
He
really got to learn
too
the
much.
words.
He
No, I
does
think
that
it's
in the third
absolutely
one as well, though.
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, Conan, what are we doing next?
All right, we're kicking off Halloween early. We're going to do the OG horror trilogy: Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. George A. Romero's masterpiece and genre spawning films. So get keen, get keen.
Great.
Keener than
I've
that.
I've not seen them. I'm keen to watch them. I saw the Dawn of the Dead remake and I really liked it.
Good film.
Solid film.
Was that Shaun of the Dead? I really like
No,
that.
there was a 2000 and something movie called Dawn of the Dead.
2004.
It had a zombie baby in it.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch that as well.
Well, yeah, I've never watched them. I avoid horror movies, scary movies.
I think these ones are pretty. These ones are pretty tame by today's standards, so you'll be
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah,
We had to have a
seen
bad
See No
month.
Evil.
Stop
Yes, we
referencing
are.
See No Evil.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us for the good, the bad, and the worst. If you enjoyed this podcast, you might enjoy us talking about video games on Bonus XP. You can find that and this podcast on all your favorite podcast apps. Check us out on socials at Good, Bad, Worst and at Bonus XP. And we were brought to you tonight by Conan's awesome book, The Taste of Iron. Check it out on Amazon. Get in touch with us for a paperback. And we'll catch you next time.
Peace.
Good men for life.